Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and today we're doing a 2-channel amplifier to power our front door speakers in this 2008 Mazda Miata MX-5. In this video, we're going to show you how to mount an amplifier and wire everything up to an aftermarket radio, just so you have more power to your front stage. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, in preparation to get our amplifier all mounted, we decided to actually put it underneath the front passenger seat. Our amplifier is so small that it can virtually fit anywhere, but we found a nice location there underneath that seat. So we're going to quickly unbolt the seat to grant us access needed so we can mount our amplifier and get it all wired up there. So let's go ahead and get the seat pulled out and prep the wiring. Alright, so we have just enough space here to go ahead and get our amplifier mounted. Nice thing is there's no heating vent or anything down here. It's just unused space. So we're going to use this as our amplifier location here. So we're going to run wires. First wire here is power wire from our battery positive post underneath the hood through an inline fuse to the power input on the amplifier. We need to run a ground. And then we need to run RCA's, speaker wire output, and a remote turn-on wire out from the amplifier up to the dash area. So that's where we're going to get started. Let's show you the parts we're going to use for our install. Alright, so the amplifier we're going with, like I said before, this is a little bit bigger than a US dollar bill. This will mount underneath the seat here. This requires 8-gauge power and ground, which we have just a big spool of here. But you can pick yourself up an 8-gauge amplifier wiring kit. This is just a 2-channel. We're not going to amplify the little tweeters in the back here. Essentially here, this is just going to power the component set in each of the front doors, which we've already installed. If you want to check out that video, we'll have a link in the description on that speaker install. But besides our amplifier, this wire we're going to use for power and ground. We have a 2-channel RCA cable from NVX. We have some speed wire, which we don't need all of, but this speed wire has all our speaker wires in a nice compact bundle here. We have a helpful video on the channel on what speed wire is, just a quick tutorial. But this will carry the amplified speaker signal from the amplifier back up to the radio. We have an inline fuse, a fuse itself, as well as power and ground ring terminals. So first thing we need to do is start running our power wire from our battery area through an inline fuse to the passenger front seat. Okay, so we're here under the hood. Here's our battery here and the post that we need to go to mount our ring terminal for our amplifier. And we'll put it through an inline fuse. And over here, there's plenty of space in the firewall for us to pass through. More closely here, there is possibly a factory feature that we don't have equipped in here. And if you push here, this is actually tape. So there's already a hole in the firewall we can pass wire through. So we're going to cut through that tape, put a new grommet in there in its place, and pass our wire into the inside of the car to the underseat area. Okay, so we poked a hole through that taped area here, and I ran a wire hanger with our power wire taped to it, and found a little space through the firewall insulation, and we can pull that wire through the firewall, just like so. Super easy. So now we're going to pull the length we need to go up underneath the seat. Alright, so we put our grommet in there, ran our power wire up there, just zip tying it to existing loop. We did a little custom fuse holder with some 1/8 inch ABS plastic, so it's nice and solid there. And we used our battery mount stud to make it nice and secure. And then on our positive terminal, there's actually an open hole there, and so we put a nut and bolt through that and tightened it all down. So at this point, we can actually pull the boot up and over that connection. And we're just about ready to put the negative on the battery, but not quite yet. Okay, so in order to run the speaker outputs from our NVX amplifier back up into the car, the best way that we've determined to do that is actually running using some speed wire. Now, if you're unfamiliar what speed wire is, essentially here, if we look at it, speed wire is one wire that has 8 additional speaker wires plus a remote turn-on wire, all bundled up into one convenient cable. Speed wire is awesome. This is a ton more than we need since we're running this up underneath the front seat, but we'll cut this to length, and essentially here this will carry the speaker outputs from our amplifier, and we're going to run it through this wire. And where we're connecting it to is this is the wiring harness for the vehicle. If you want to check out our radio install video, it kind of explains how we've wired all this up in that video. But this connects into the main harness of the car, and this has access to all the speakers. Now, we're only amplifying the front 2 channels. The rear channels are still just going to run off the radio's power, but the front 2 channels are these whites and grays. So what we've done with this speaker output is we'll connect this end into the output of the amplifier. It'll run through all this wire, and then we've just connected it into our wiring harness adapter, and that will just pass that power on through. And the nice thing about that is this goes to all our speakers in the car, so we don't have to run individual wires to each speaker. This will do it on our behalf. So that's how we're running our speaker wire output from our amplifier to the rest of our speakers here. This is a quick and easy way to do so, and again, this is called speed wire. It saves you a ton of time when trying to hook everything up. Cool. So this is the wiring perspective here. Let's go ahead and return back to the car and get this all installed. Right, so our wire comes down here. We tucked it up underneath the carpet there, and then it came out right in that spare little spot to the positive input on the battery. Now for the ground we marked indicated because we're using the same color wire. We put a black heat shrink to indicate ground. Also up underneath here, and we found a factory grounding location. What we did using a wire brush there is we cleaned the paint really well and use that factory grounding location. You can also use any of these other bolts there as long as you clean the paint off really well. Now, if you remember our wiring harness from the bench that we showed you, that speed wire is all connected into our wiring harness. So what we started feeding that down through, remember this speed wire is the speaker wire output from the amplifier, and it goes up into the wiring harness, which goes to our front doors. So we need to hook that up here. So we're gonna run that, and the RCAs, we've just tucked it through the dash so far. We're gonna go through the center console, underneath the carpet, and come out in that spot as well. So we're gonna start fishing that wire through and finish hooking up our amplifier. All right, we're ready to get our radio back in the dash here. So what we've done here is just connected our main wiring harness here. We're doing a front channel amplifier for our door speakers. That's what our RCAs are for. Okay, so we ran our RCAs just underneath the carpet along with the speaker wire. Got everything hooked up. So speaker wire output, got a remote turn-on wire hooked on. RCAs are all plugged in, ready to go. Got the amp all mounted down so it's not going anywhere. Got the negative back on the battery, that's all done. Got our RCAs and speaker wire hooked up to our wiring harness and radio. And at this point, it's on and it's all playing. It sounds great. Got our gains all set. If you have any questions on this simple amplifier install on this Mazda Miata, go ahead and post a comment below. Also, if you want to see other videos in this series for this Mazda, go ahead and check the description. We'll have other helpful videos here as well. Thanks again, guys, for watching. If you have any questions, what we did here, post a comment below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.